What's up, everyone? Welcome in to the Denver Sports Podcast. We are live broadcasting from the Xfinity studio. Getting things started here. It is a beautiful day. You've got almost nonstop Nuggets coverage today. You're starting off with the Denver Sports Podcast, where we talk about all the biggest sports topics around Colorado and beyond. So, of course, we're talking Nuggets today. But then you guys have pregame, postgame, your usual setup.
I know, man. They're playing so well right now that we just need wall-to-wall coverage about this team.
That's why. It felt like this was almost a therapy session. That was kind of what I was trying to go for, is that I need to be convinced that things are going to be okay. I brought you in here to reassure me that the Nuggets are in fact okay. That, yes, there are concerns, but things are going to work out in the end and everything's going to work out all okay. So that's kind of where I'm hoping for today. We'll see if that's the vibe that we get from the end of this show, but that's kind of what we're hoping for. So
I think I can do that, man. I mean, I think I could be pretty persuasive, and you combine that with the fact that I actually think there's a chance the Nuggets will be okay.
Okay.
I think we can do that. I think we can accomplish that.
So it's not just manufactured optimism. There is real hope, real optimism.
100%. It can start tonight. I mean, honestly, you win tonight against the Celtics and things can start to feel different.
Yeah.
That's how quickly it can change in the NBA.
Absolutely. By the way, I see Snow Wolf in the chat asking about the Calvin Booth interview. We are going to talk about that on the show. I did see that. We've got that loaded up, so we'll talk about that as the show goes on. But I want to start by anytime something goes wrong, I think it's important to go back and look at where it all started, right? Where did it all go wrong to begin? It can help you diagnose the issues better, to understand what the problems are, so that you can then fix that moving forward. Now,
that's a very pragmatic way to look at it.
Well, I think, it's like going to the doctors, right? Like anytime you're having a weird pain in your back or your hip or something like that, you go to the doctors and you try to figure out like where it all started, so they can better give you a game plan on how to fix the problem that started it all. So That's kind of what I wanted to start with. And obviously we know injuries played a huge role in all of this. The struggles that the Nuggets have had, you can credit a lot of the struggles to injuries. But maybe that's my question. Was injuries the first domino? Was that was CB going down like the first domino that started all of this, or was there's some dysfunction going on behind the scenes that we just didn't really notice until things started to snowball?
I think injuries are definitely the first thing you can point to. I mean, look, if you go back to the beginning of the season, before all these injuries started, the Nuggets were a top 5 defense. Now, I don't think that ranking was that legit. I mean, there was a game against, I think it was the Grizzlies, where they won by like 40 points and it really inflated their defensive rating. But the injuries are where it started. Christian Brown goes down earlier in the season. Aaron Gordon goes down. Cam Johnson, Nikola Jokic, Big Val. And honestly, it got to a point where 4 out of 5 starters were out of the lineup for like a month.
Yeah.
I can never remember something like that happening to any team. 4 out of 5 starters out for a month?
Yeah. And thank God the Nuggets had the depth to at least not sink while that was happening.
That's absolutely where it started. Now, there are a lot of other issues that are going on with this team. I mean, then again, they are the 4 seed, technically pretty much tied for the 3rd seed right now, so it's not the end of the world, but injuries for sure. I mean, historic injuries. And an injury to Nikola Jokic, a long-term injury to Nikola Jokic that had him out a month, that has never happened in his career. Yeah. Unprecedented stuff. That's where it definitely starts, though.
Yeah, I think I wanted to kind of classify the Nuggets' problems between injury problems and non-injury problems, right? We've talked about the injury problems. They're pretty obvious. But what do you see from this organization, from this team specifically, that you would classify as a non-injury issue, where you see and you say, even if this team had a fully healthy lineup, everyone back, which we hope they have soon, I still think they need to fix this. Is it just clutch? Is it like what are we looking at?
Well,
there?
it's tough because the two other biggest issues with the Nuggets, you would point to the clutch, you would point to the defense.
Mm-hmm.
Clutch, I think they're ranked 26th in clutch net rating, the second worst clutch defense in the NBA. I think that has a lot to do with Aaron Gordon being out.
Sure.
I think, that has a lot to do with Christian Brown and Peyton Watson missing time. Then again, I feel like if those guys were in the lineup for the entire season, is the clutch defense that much better? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not. But I think injuries definitely play a part there, specifically with Aaron Gordon. He's just that important. The defense has a lot to do with the injuries too. I mean, again, like this Aaron Gordon injury, I don't think it's a stretch to say the entire Nuggets season is riding on it. Like the entire Nuggets season is riding on Aaron Gordon's hamstring.
Yeah.
Like that's really what could determine how this playoff run goes. So all those things, all these injuries, if they didn't happen, it would have helped with the defense and the clutch. But how much would it have helped? I think marginally. I don't think the Nuggets are suddenly a top 10 defense if they're pretty healthy this season. No way.
Yeah.
Are they a top 10 clutch defense if they're totally healthy this season? I think there's a little better chance of that, but probably not. It's kind of just a mentality thing. This team really hasn't been bought in defensively all season. And it's a problem for sure. And right now, it doesn't really seem like they've taken any steps to fixing it.
Yeah.
Although the defense has looked okay in a couple games since the All-Star break, I will say.
Sure, but the trend, the trend is still negative.
Yeah.
It's funny because we were talking Avs on TDSP last week, and of course, if you follow the Colorado Avalanche, and if you don't, you should, but their biggest problem is very similar to the Nuggets. It's the power play. You have one of the best rosters in the NHL. Then Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, Marty Necas. I mean, like the lineup is, half of them were all Olympic stars. And yet for some reason they have not just the worst power play in the NHL, but like by far the worst power play in the NHL. And you look at the talent that's out there on the ice and you think to yourself, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. Like there's something has to be wrong. And so the only thing that you can naturally come back to is the idea that it's got to be a mentality thing or a coaching situation, which is a whole other conversation. But that's the similar feeling that I feel like we get with the Nuggets, specifically defensively, but also in the clutch. Turnovers, another part of that. I was hearing someone say the other day, the Nuggets have a turnover problem. And I'm thinking to myself, well, it's not the volume of turnovers that the Nuggets have that's the issue. It's when they're turning it over. It's the timing of those turnovers. And that comes back down to defense and mentality and all those kind of things. So it's frustrating because even with injuries, you look at the depth that this Nuggets team has and you say, it just doesn't make sense. It might not be good, but it shouldn't be this bad.
So here's a question for you. I don't know if you even know this. How have the Avs been on the power play the last couple seasons?
Not great.
Not great.
Not great.
Okay, that's interesting because the Nuggets throughout the Jokic era have been one of the best clutch teams in the NBA. That's what's so weird about this trend this season. Throughout the Jokic era, they've been elite on offense late in close games. They've been also pretty much elite defensively in close games too. They have had one of the best clutch defenses in the NBA throughout a lot of the Jokic era. This season, though, it has just totally flipped, and that is the crazy thing. Yeah, the injuries play a part in it. You have a little different personnel. You still have Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. You should be better than you are. And like offensively, they're a lot better than they are defensively in the clutch, but the turnovers, which lead to a lot of easy baskets, that hurts the defensive numbers. So it's kind of been a really confounding issue because they have been so good historically.
Yeah. No, I agree. And look, it's tough when you talk about mentality though too, because it feels harder to fix for some reason. It feels like, if there was a specific tangible problem where we're saying like this is the specific problem, and it's more concrete, it's easier to make some adjustments and change. Whereas if it's a mentality thing, it's like how do you inspire guys to play better in the clutch? We heard Jokic the other day saying, talking about his concerns and how concerned he is about the situation and stuff. And that's why I think a lot of fans are concerned. That's why, I think a lot of people are worried about what these last 24 games or whatever is going to look like, because they're not giving us reason to believe otherwise. So that's why I wanted to bring you on here. So we talk about where it went wrong.
It's so funny. Like, you have the headline of the show, "Where did it all go wrong for the Nuggets?" And it's like, they are the 4 seed right now.
Of course.
But it does feel like the sky is falling.
It does. Well, and that's the feeling, is because it's like you don't know. Again, it just doesn't make sense.
Right.
If it made sense, if they played extremely poorly and they still had four out of their 5 starters missing due to injury, like, we wouldn't feel like the sky was falling. We'd be pissed, I mean, it would suck, but it would just be like, it's just been a shit hand we've been dealt, right? Yep. Like, that's the reality of it. But as we've started to get pieces back, as you've gotten Jokic back and Jamal's still playing out there, and you're starting to get all these other pieces back in place, it doesn't feel like it's turned the corner in the way that it should. And that's the issue.
That's the other really crazy thing that's happened. Nikola Jokic has come back, and the Nuggets have gotten worse.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like it doesn't make sense.
Their best wins of the season have 2. I say there are 3 wins that come to mind when you're looking at the best wins of this Nuggets season. There's 3 of them, I think. Christmas Day over the Timberwolves. Classic game, OT win. At Philly, when they had 7 of their top rotation guys out of the lineup. And at Boston. Those last 2 wins, Philly and Boston, came without Jokic.
Yeah.
2 of their 3 best wins. And they stayed above water. They treaded water really well without Jokic for that stretch, which was shocking to all of us just because they've never done that. But I guess this is just kind of a year where all the historical precedents are reversing.
Yeah, I feel like there's got to be a mentality piece to that too, though, because we've just been talking ad nauseum about mentality and how that's been a struggle for the Nuggets. Well, the flip side of that can be true. When Jokic goes down, all of the other role players know they need to step up, because you can't rely on Jokic to, in a way, bail you out. So you've got to now step up. There's more riding on those other players to have, big games, because you need it. You have to. I mean, you're a father. You've got, a young child at home, you and your wife. If you're sick and you've got the baby at home and your wife is working or whatever, like, doesn't matter how sick you are, like, you've got to step up, because you can't rely on other things to bail you out. You can't rely on your wife, being there to help you out in that situation. And so you've got to step up. And that's been the exact same thing. Now that Jokic is back, is there a situation where players are feeling complacent? Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Complacent? I don't know. It's just been weird.
Or just taking their foot off the gas, maybe, is a better way of putting it.
I don't know. I mean, if you just look at these last couple games coming out of the All-Star break, let's start there. They lose at the Clippers in a game they should have won. That game came down to the clutch again. They just couldn't execute late in the game. They turned it over a lot. And then they blow out the Blazers by 40 points.
Yeah.
You think, okay, maybe things are all right. And then they come out the next night and lose to the Warriors in a game that was a really tough watch.
Dude, that had to be one of the most frustrating games I've ever watched this season.
Yeah. So, and I think there was some weird stuff in that game where, again, not an excuse, guys, is not an excuse, but like Draymond Green didn't play, was a super late scratch. They started Al Horford. He kind of changed the dynamic of that team. Anyway, they should have won that game, obviously. Golden State's not good. But it's just been weird. I don't think the Nuggets even really know what's happening. Yeah. I think the Nuggets are very perplexed at why some of the issues that have been facing this team all season have not been fixed.
Yeah.
Even as this team's getting healthier. I think they're just very confused at why the defense hasn't improved at all. Why this team is so bad in the clutch all of a sudden. I think it has them stuck. Because one thing that this team has always had is continuity. They've had some of the same core for the last couple of years. They still have, roughly the same core of this team from last year too, but it just has not carried over.
Yeah. Well, speaking of core of the team, we got to hear from Calvin Booth via Kevin O'Connor show. I'm sure you guys have seen the clip, but if not, we'll play it when we come back from this first break. But Calvin Booth had some things to say about his former organization, the Denver Nuggets. So we'll react to that after this break. Well, I want to give a huge shout out to our friends right now at Xfinity. Xfinity is the best place to go for your Wi-Fi needs. They have reliable and intelligent Wi-Fi that is the perfect Wi-Fi for whether it's your home, your business, your office, whatever you're into. And the cool thing right now is Xfinity is offering their 5-year price guarantee, which means the price that you lock in today is the exact same price that you're going to be paying over the next 5 years. That's beating inflation. That's the best deal you can possibly get. And also the other cool part about Xfinity is their Wi-Fi is intelligent, which means it evolves. It kind of predicts problems before they come up so that you can have peace of mind that you just have Wi-Fi that's going to be reliable and working behind the scenes so you can enjoy your life with good Wi-Fi. So lock in your price right now and unlock the possibilities with Xfinity. Learn more at xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Also want to give a huge shout out to our friends at Raising Cane's. Raising Cane's is the best place to go to make your craveable chicken finger dreams come true. And I'm going to be stopping by Raising Cane's on my way home. There's a Raising Cane's literally on my drive home. And it's dangerous because I feel like I could go there pretty much every single day. But there's a reason for that. They have the best chicken fingers on the market. They've got everything made fresh in-house. Their fresh squeezed lemonade is made every day. They've got their tea that they brew every day. They've got their homemade cane sauce. They make a new batch of cane sauce literally every single day. You just can't go wrong with Raising Cane's. Whether you're heading out on a road trip here, getting closer to summer, whether you're just hanging out at home, maybe you just want a chill day at home and you want to go get some Raising Cane's to enjoy on the comfort of your own couch. They've got so many different options. They actually also sell their tea in stores, by the way. You can go to your grocery stores and find their tea sold in bulk. Didn't realize that until the other day. So tons of options there. Make sure you enjoy your Raising Cane's chicken fingers. Raising Cane's, one love. Back here on the Denver Sports Podcast, talking about all the biggest sports topics in Colorado and beyond. And I bet you didn't wake up today thinking you were going to talk about Calvin Booth again. I bet that was a name that you probably didn't expect to be having conversations about. But here we are. Calvin Booth went out on the Kevin O'Connor show. I think this was just very recently. And there's some clips circulating on social media where he was talking about his time with the Nuggets. And so we'll pull up this clip here and we'll show you, and then we'll react to this. Emma, if you want to fire that up.
The last thing is I think I just made it look too easy.
What do you mean by that? A little too easy?
All right, so you're a podcaster, journalist, anybody that's really good at something, when they make it look easy, that was really, really hard to get to. A lifetime's worth of playing basketball, being coaching basketball, having conversations, scouting, doing whatever. For me to make it, go in there right away, assemble a championship team, win a championship. I think when you take the Joker thing, the head coach paradox, ownership and their precedence, and hey, look, they have a formula that works. Championships in hockey, basketball, football. Arsenal will probably get one soon. I mean, and it's their prerogative to operate that way, and I think it's the right call. I would probably disagree with their take upon executives, especially in this world, but like, who am I? They've been so successful, right? Maybe it's the right way to operate. But I'll say that you encompass that, all that in some media manipulation, and then all of a sudden, somehow, some way, I'm not running an NBA team right now.
Okay.
There was a lot there.
There was a lot there. God. So he basically splits up his factors that cost him his job into 4 different categories. But the biggest one that stands out to me is him saying, I just made it look too easy. Do you agree? Do you agree that Calvin Booth made it look too easy and that's what led to him being let go?
So I think what he's saying there is, I stepped into the job and then 1 year later we won the championship because of the moves I made.
Yeah.
Which is partly true. That's partly true. The Nuggets won a championship first and foremost because of Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. He had no involvement in bringing those two to Denver. But they did win a championship largely because of KCP, who he executed the trade on to get him here. Mm-hmm. Christian Brown was a big part of that championship. Bruce Brown, he signed all those guys. So I think that's what he's saying. Yeah, I stepped into the job, and in one season we won a championship. But I mean, he obviously didn't do every single thing that put them over the top. He did make some moves around the edges and really important ones, I feel like, that led to a championship. I mean, I don't think it's the right thing to say to that he made it look easy.
I was gonna say, is he stepping over Tim Connolly a little bit there?
Well,
in that comment.
I mean, a little bit, because Tim Connolly obviously assembled the core of this team.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's be honest, Tim Connolly didn't win a championship here. And there are a lot of issues or a lot of reasons why. Jamal Murray got hurt, not enough defense. So I think both guys deserve credit for sure.
Yeah.
Calvin Booth was just the one to put the finishing touches on it.
Yeah. It's just interesting to see him come out and talk about this,
Look, he obviously,
from his perspective.
Calvin Booth obviously believes that he was the biggest reason why,
Yeah.
the moves that he made, the, organizational changes that he made. He clearly believes that, that was a huge driving force to win that championship. And I think a lot of the things that he did do initially were, reasons they won it. But I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because he made it sound like he was the victim in this situation. I mean, sure, he lost his job, right? So did Malone. And like you said, you can still point to some of the things that he did to build the team up. But I think a lot of people were in the understanding that it was probably time to move on. I mean, I remember listening to your guys' show afterwards, and obviously it was a huge shock when it happened because it just was the timing of it was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
But he kind of, the way he describes it makes it sound like, it's a surprise that they moved on from me in any case, no matter what time it was.
Listening to that clip and, listening to some of that other KOC interview, you can probably get a pretty good idea of why him and Michael Malone butted heads and had this Cold War feud for the last several years that ultimately led to both of their demises.
Yeah. I know. And we're still talking about it today with the whole, I mean, I'm seeing in the chat people talking about Adelman versus Malone, and obviously the front office, looking completely different this time around. But it's just funny. It's always fascinating for me to see, though, a little glimpse behind the curtain, because we as fans, and I know you get a little bit more of a view behind that curtain because you cover the team directly. We have our opinions, our perspectives on what we think is going on. But the reality is there's just so much more that we just don't know about. And so every time you see an interview like this come out, you're just kind of like, okay, it makes a little bit more sense now. Like, we can see it.
I mean, here's the facts, man. Like, here's the facts. Calvin Booth is an incredible talent evaluater. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of NBA scouts. I have an NBA scout that I trust. Like, if he says this player's good, I think I believe this guy. He's a longtime NBA scout, highly respected. He says Calvin Booth is the best talent evaluator he has ever been around.
Okay.
Ever. And looking at Christian Brown, Peyton Watson, I tend to believe it. I think he's an expert talent evaluator. Mm-hmm. The problem is that's not the only thing that goes into being a GM.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately where, he went wrong, and where, his tenure as leading the Nuggets basketball department went wrong. He thought Michael Malone would go along with his plan. He assumed Michael Malone would be all in on his plan and see his vision and what he wanted to do. And he assumed wrong. Mm-hmm. And he calculated that wrong. So he obviously made a lot of mistakes. Every GM does. But from just like a talent evaluation standpoint, he was elite.
It's fascinating that you bring that up, because if you guys don't know, I cover our Rockies team. You can tell by the hat. But we had a similar situation, although to a extremely dramatic degree, way beyond the Nuggets' dysfunction. You can say dysfunction kind of lightly, especially compared to the Rockies. But Rockies GM last year and previously, Bill Schmidt, he was a scout before he became the general manager of the Colorado Rockies. And by all by all the people I had spoken with, even people who were critical of him, they all said he was an incredible, like you said, talent evaluator. He was a great scout. He was the scout for Troy Tulowitzki, Charlie Blackmon, Nolan Arenado. Like, he was the guy who went out and found those players and brought them to Colorado. Then he became the general manager, and it became one of the worst organizational moves, that combined with a bad owner and Dick Monfort, that led the organization to have 119 losses and become one of the most office executive who was really good at being a scout and not good at being a front office executive. And so I think the same thing can be said about Calvin Booth, like you're saying. It's just someone who knew how to go out and scout, but just didn't know how to manage a roster, didn't know how to manage an organization.
And manage relationships. If you're a GM of an NBA team, you have to have your head coach on your side. Mm-hmm. That's the only way a vision can be executed.
Yeah.
If you're building a championship contender, if you're building a tanking team, if your coach isn't in lockstep with your plan, you might as well not even try. You know?
Oh yeah.
Like, imagine if Will Hardy, the Utah Jazz coach, imagine if he was purposely going against everything that Danny Ainge, the Jazz GM, believed in what his plan was. Imagine if he was trying to win games,
Yeah.
Like, that would obviously not work. Contending teams, tanking teams, everybody in between, if your front office and coach isn't on the same page, it's just not going to work. So it was pretty clear, I feel like, I'll say probably in like 2024, like a full year into Calvin Booth's tenure as GM, that it probably wasn't going to work between him and Michael Malone. They were two people who had very strong conviction. They're two people who, had success. Michael Malone is a championship winning coach. Calvin Booth, he won a championship as the lead executive, who had very strong beliefs in their specific outlooks on basketball. And it was just pretty clear that it wasn't going to work.
Yeah. Their version of the why was in different places, right?
Yeah.
Michael Malone's why was over here. Calvin Booth's why for winning a championship was over here, and they just didn't see eye to eye. They're also just too stubborn. I mean, again, this. They're very stubborn individuals in their own rights.
And I mean, most people in those positions are. That's how you get there.
Yeah. No, 100%. And hopefully, now everyone's kind of operating on the same page. But now there are other factors like injuries, like the things that we're talking about that have started to plague the Nuggets in different ways. And now the question becomes, how do you get out of that, right? I know we've got the hyperbolic headline, where did it all go wrong? How do you fix it, right? This team is not counted out. This team is not dead and gone, and no, they're not going to make the playoffs anymore. They're not a championship team anymore. But there are still legitimate concerns. And when the players are concerned, the fans become concerned, the analysts become concerned. So how do we turn the corner here? And like you said, it could start tonight. And so that becomes the question that we ask now. So we got to hit our next break of the show. After the break, let's get into some positives. How do we turn the page? What are some of the thinking outside the box strategies we're looking at? What expectations need to change? Let's dive into the nitty gritty when we come back. Well, I want to give a huge shout out to our friends at Toyota. Toyota is the official vehicle of DNVR, and I have been an avid Toyota driver since I could drive. And actually before that, my family owned Toyotas my entire childhood. And then when I was old enough to drive, I started driving Toyotas. And there's a reason for that, because Toyotas are the most reliable vehicle on the market. I have some friends who are auto mechanics. They work, in car shops and stuff like that. And I've asked them, off the record, hey, what's the best vehicle to drive? And they, every single one of them say Toyotas. Toyotas are the easiest vehicle to fix. They last the longest. And they have so many different varieties of Toyota vehicles. You can go trucks, you can go sedans, you can go SUVs, all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, hybrid options if you're into the hybrid side of things. You just can't go wrong. They have over 17 models, like I said, available with all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. The 4Runner, the RAV4, which is my personal car. I've got the 2024 RAV4 Adventure Series. You just can't go wrong. So if you're in the market to buy a new Toyota, visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson's Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson's Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is the official vehicle of DNVR. Let's go places. Well, I also want to give a shout out to our friends at New Built Restoration and Construction. New Built is an incredible company. They are a company built on licensed general contractors who can help you with any project, big or small. So if you're trying to, fix something in your house, you have maybe you had some mold damage that you came across and you're like, all right, we got to take care of this. Well, you call up New Built Restoration and Construction. They will take care of you. They've got you covered. And the cool thing about them too is they're available 24/7. So if there's ever a home emergency, maybe your basement floods, maybe there is a fire, something like that. If you have a home emergency and you need someone to take care of you, they are available 24/7 to take care of their customers. And there's over 600 reviews that prove this to be true. They are one of the best companies in the market when it comes to taking care of your commercial projects, repair service, and all of the above at your home. So when that home emergency hits, New Built Restoration and Construction will be there at nubilt.com, or you can call 720-902-7472 and be sure to let them know that DNVR sent you. So Henry, our good friend Henry in the Toyota chat, says the last time the Nuggets had their starters, the Broncos and the Colts were tied for first in the AFC. Before we dive into, how to fix whatever's happening with the Nuggets.
I don't even know when that was. When was that?
It was a long time ago.
November?
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
Somewhere in November.
early winter, maybe late fall, that time of year.
Season started in October.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing November.
Sure. We'll go with that. When the Colts were in the hunt at
the
that
leverage
point.
Penalty.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Famously with the Broncos. But what's the timeline on injuries? So to just start with that, because that is, of course, the biggest turning point. If the Nuggets can have all of their guys healthy, that's obviously huge. So do we have an outlook on when we could possibly be seeing Watson and AG back?
Someone told me Aaron Gordon was coming back tonight a couple days ago, but he's not.
Okay. Fake news. Not looking into
that. Was not
one.
Correct.
Okay.
But I do think he's really close. I think he could be back in the next couple of games.
Okay. Yeah, I think I had seen. Was it Adelman who said that the goal was to have Watson and AG back together by March 5th?
Well, he said so. We have 20 games left. He said the goal is to have the full roster back together for the final 20 games. Now, I think they only have 24 games left in the season. So that would be in the next 4 games.
Yeah.
I think Watson's a little behind Gordon, but I think they'll both be back relatively soon. Of course, that doesn't mean all things are rosy. It's a hamstring injury.
Yeah.
We've already seen Aaron Gordon re-injure his hamstring once this season. It's going to be terrifying just seeing how the Nuggets try to manage those minutes and those injuries the rest of the year.
Well, and it doesn't get easy schedule-wise either.
The schedule is a beast.
March 5th, which is the game that Adelman was talking about, if you kind of time it out, that he wants AG and Watson back, that's the Lakers game. After the Lakers matchup, you go New York Knicks, the Thunder, the Rockets, the Spurs, and then back to the Lakers again. I mean, that's a hellish little series there.
They have the hardest schedule left in the league.
Yeah.
A lot of that is because they play the Thunder 3 times.
Sure.
But, I mean, that's
like the Rockies playing the Dodgers.
Yeah, but I mean, that would be a tough schedule.
It is, yeah.
And
absolutely.
it is. And I think the Thunder have the second toughest schedule because they play the Nuggets 3 times.
Yeah.
Largely. So, man, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. The thing is...
But...
I still think I know what this team can be, and I still think there is enough time left in the season. And the good news is they don't have to make up a lot of ground. They're in the 3 or 4 seed right now. This would be a much different story if they were in the play-in. A much different story. Season would probably be almost over if they were in the play-in right now, and they were like, 5 games back or 6 games back of home court in the first round. Because then you're like looking at just a real uphill battle. If they can get, a 3 seed, 2 seed, might be out of reach now. But if they can stay in that 3-4, they've still got a shot if with a healthy roster. And, if they can get everybody back with 20 games and just stay healthy, they can still do damage for sure.
I was going to ask. So, yeah, I think there's 24 games left, correct? Am I right in saying that as of today?
I think 24.
Including today.
Yeah,
what are you happy with record-wise over the last 24 games? They're sitting at the you said the 4 seed right now? Is that what I was saying? Sitting at the 4 seed right now with 24 games back. What are you happy with realistically if they finish the season at?
Top 4 seed is ideal. So you can get that home court in the first round, even though the Nuggets suck at home. I mean,
home playoffs are different.
I still feel like you want that home court.
Yeah, home playoffs are different.
In terms of win-loss, man, I don't know. But the schedule is so tough. The 3 of those games are against the Thunder. They got, games against other really good West teams coming up too. Minnesota as well. 24 games left. I mean, if they could go, I don't know, like 16 and 12,
okay,
17 and 11, 18 and 10. 18 and 10 would be amazing, I feel like.
Yeah.
That'd be a nice close to the season.
Sure. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, and again, assuming
10, that's not.
It's not 24, but I get what you're saying. Yeah. I get what you're saying.
I'm not that good at math.
That's okay. We're writers, not number guys. But I get what you're saying. We had that same conversation. I think it was D-Line who was on the show when Jokic went down. And they gave the timeline of how many games they were expecting him to miss, and Eric was kind of giving his prediction of like if the Nuggets can go 400 while Jokic is gone, I feel really good. And the Nuggets exceeded those expectations, right? And so
can they go 400 with Jokic? That's
kind of where I'm asking.
That's now where we're at.
Yeah, like what are you happy with, record-wise or winning percentage-wise in those remaining 24 games? But
they've just got to do enough to keep a top 4 seed.
And I think you've top 4 seed, absolutely. But I think it goes beyond just wins and losses too. If you can go into the playoffs healthy, that is all that matters. Yeah. Truly. At the bottom of my heart, if you can enter the playoffs with all of your guys relatively healthy, I mean, no one's going to be 100%, but if you can get everyone healthy and without any restrictions entering in the first game of the playoffs, that's a win in my book. That's whether it's at home or on the road, although we, of course, would love to have them here at home. I think health has just got to be the biggest priority.
Yeah.
And it always has been.
100%. And
especially with playoffs.
What's really interesting with how the standings are kind of sorting themselves out this year, if you're just assuming the Thunder are going to win the West, which they probably are, even though they're only 3 games up on the Spurs, if you were assuming that Thunder are going to be the number 1, the 2 seed was a huge prize.
Yeah.
The 2 seed is highly coveted because the crop of play-in teams this year that you would get in the first round as a 2 seed are very, very weak. Usually you'd have a somewhat scary Lakers team in the play-in. You've had those like kind of scary Warriors teams in the play-in in the past. This year the play-in is the Suns, the Warriors, the Blazers, the Clippers. And there's some separation there. That's what it looks like the 4 teams are going to be. Suns, Warriors, Blazers, or Clippers. Nobody's worried about any of those teams in the first round.
Yeah.
None of them. Not even a little bit. So if you're the Spurs and you can get the 2 seed, you pretty much have a free first round series. That would have been great if the Nuggets could have gotten that. That seems out of reach now. So you're looking at a first round matchup against the Timberwolves, the Lakers, or the Rockets. That's probably what it's going to be. And all those would be, tough just based on how the Nuggets are playing right now. But they're also all winnable for sure.
Yeah. What specific things do you look for in a game? Again, aside from the wins and losses, aside from the actual number on the scoreboard, what are you looking for where it'll start to ease your mind a little bit? Hey, they're making some adjustments. They're improving game by game.
For me, there's one thing that rises above all else in that question. It's the fourth quarter defense. I really don't even care about the Nuggets defense across an entire game because I just don't know if they can do it. But in seasons past, they've been a very mediocre defensive team for most of the season. I think the championship year, they finished 15th in defense in the regular season. And in the clutch in the fourth quarter, they had, some of the best defense in the NBA. And that is always the thinking, The Nuggets, they might not be a great defense. throughout a lot of a game, but when it really matters, they can lock in and get stops. So that's what I need to see. I need to see them execute and get stops and win games with their defense in some close games in fourth quarters. If they do that a couple times, if they do that against the Thunder, in a couple days,
Yeah.
I'll feel a lot better.
Yeah.
If they do that against Minnesota and win that game, that will mean something.
It is funny, and I say this every single year, but it is funny to me how I think basketball, specifically the Nuggets, there's so much of an arc of we're at the highest of highs or the lowest of lows when it comes to the fan experience. You're either crashing out, saying, where did it all go wrong, as we have, or you're, like you said, if they string together 2 or 3 solid performances, we're sitting here a couple weeks from now saying, what's stopping us now? Who can stand up to the Nuggets now? Like, we're invincible.
Yep.
It is. I remember doing one of our TDSP shows with D-Line. I think it was right before the season started, and saying, like, I want to almost manifest this energy now. Like, I want to stay level-headed, even though there's going to be the ups and downs. Like, it's going to be the injuries. There's going to be the just want to pull your hair out type of games. We got to find the middle here. So this is one of those moments.
I think a big reason why there's been so many emotional highs and lows in this season, despite the Nuggets overall having a pretty good year to this point,
They're still in fourth,
is because there's so much at stake this season. Mm-hmm. There's an incredible amount of things at stake, this year, and based on these playoffs. If the Nuggets flame out in these playoffs, I think this team looks drastically different next year. Drastically.
Yeah.
I think Aaron Gordon's probably gone next year if they flame out in the first or maybe even second round of the playoffs.
Yeah. Man.
I think there could be other big shakeups, both on the roster and elsewhere. If, for example, they lose in the first round or something, there's so much at stake because of those reasons, and also because we're in Nikola Jokic's prime, but I probably believe we're right at the peak and going, on the decline.
Yeah.
Or, we still have like another season at the peak. But it's not forever.
No.
That's for sure.
Sure.
I think, if his peak is 5 seasons, we might be in season 4 of it, So there's just so much at stake from that perspective. You only have so many opportunities to win a championship. Your window closes way quicker than you can ever expect. And we're just right in the middle of it right now.
Yeah, it is funny because I was drawing the Avalanche comparisons earlier in the show, but I mean, that's another perfect example. These two teams that we have in Denver are so similar in so many ways because the Avalanche are in the exact same boat. You have one of the best, if not probably the best roster in the entire NHL.
Yep.
And arguably the best player in Nathan MacKinnon, the best defensive player in Cale Makar. And for the last 2 years, they've flamed out in the playoffs. And it's been the exact same story. Game 7s, you just can't get through Game 7s if you're the Colorado Avalanche. And so this year coming into it, their front office added all this depth. And the message was, this is it. It's boom or bust. We're either doing it this year, or like you said, things could end up looking incredibly different in the years ahead. So there's a lot of pressure on both the Nuggets and the Avs to step up this year because it feels like this is it. And I know it's not. I know there is still hope that, every year, especially when you have Nathan MacKinnon or Nikola Jokic, you're going to be a competitive team and you can build around those players. But it does feel like this is the golden era, like where you're like, you've got to cash in. Like, we've got to start cashing in.
You know that line where it's about the good old days?
Yeah, you didn't know that you were in the good old days till they were already gone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are the good old days.
It is. Oh, my God. I know.
This is it. This is the moment. These last couple of years have been exactly that.
I was talking to Spencer, who helps me with the Rocky show and works here, and he has 2 toddlers, or he has a newborn and then a toddler, and he was all bummed because he's like, my kids aren't going to be able to remember the Jokic era, the MacKinnon era, right? Like, they're not going to, even the Bo Nix era, like, they're not going to be able to remember this era of sports. And who knows, maybe it'll be different, right? Maybe in 10 years, things will look different, but these teams will be good in different ways. But it is the golden era. So we are very fortunate to be living in it. And that's why it feels so frantic. It feels so like
Dude,
we gotta make this happen.
There's so much on the line.
Yeah.
And like, how can you not get emotional? How can you not crash out? How can you not like go on a parade after some of these huge moments in the season?
Yeah.
Like, how do you live otherwise? Like, I don't know.
Couldn't be us. We got to pause for our last break of the show. After the break, we'll go over some outside the box thinking, maybe some strategies that Harrison thinks might need to change for the Nuggets, and we'll kind of dive into the last 15 minutes of the show. I want to take this moment real fast to give a quick plug. We've got a huge Die Hard sale that is happening right now across our company. And it's a good time. It's a good time to lock it in right now. $36 for one whole year. I actually read that we got the company Slack about the Die Hard sale. $36 for an entire year. I thought that was like a typo. I figured it was like $36 for 6 months or something like that. No, $36 for your entire year. You get a free t-shirt. You see there at the bottom of your screen. Free t-shirt there.
It can be any t-shirt too.
Literally any t-shirt that you get from within our inventory. Your membership includes anything that we have that's paywalled. So any of the writing. I know you guys have some incredible feature pieces that come out all the time. If you're into the Nuggets and Avs, Broncos, you can do deep dives in all of that. Tons of great deals. You also get, I didn't realize this, you get, I think it's 17% off at the bar? 15%. That makes more sense. 15% off at the DNVR bar, which if you haven't stopped by the DNVR bar already, it's a great time to be here. We've got Nuggets watch-alongs, Avs watch-alongs. Hell, we're going to have a Team USA watch-along coming up here with the Rockies and Team USA. You're going to get to watch the Rockies get 15 put up on them in the first inning against the greatest baseball team ever to play in Team USA. So
why did I think you meant World Cup?
No, that too. You forget. You got
I was like, yeah, we are going to
show.
have that in like 3 months.
down the
4
road,
or 5
down
months.
the road. Summit has a nice little takeover coming up talking about
for
soccer.
Sure.
We got a takeover, by the way. If you head to thednvr.com/events, if you're into the soccer
You get
world,
20% off events with a Die Hard membership too.
yeah, it's all good stuff. So head to thednvr.com to snag your deal. Again, $36 off, or $36 total for your first year. It's normally $80.
Yeah, and I will say, if you want to support DNVR, this is the best way to do it. This is the thing that means the most to our company in terms of ways you guys can support us. So get a Die Hard membership, join the club, and if you like what we do, it's the best way to support us.
Love it. I got a question before we dive back into Nugget stuff. I was talking to Eric the other day, and he brought up a point that I had never thought of.
I'm worried about this.
Yeah, you should be.
Okay.
We just finished the Olympics, the Winter Olympics.
Yes.
And he was a little bit upset that basketball, as a sport that is played smack dab in the middle of winter, is not considered a Winter Olympic
It's
sport.
a valid point. Yeah.
And I think he was actually looking at it maybe in the flip side, that he was saying basketball shouldn't be played in the winter. Basketball should be played in the summer because it is a summer sport. It should be played in the summer where you just have baseball. And
well, it's a winter sport because it's indoors.
Of course. But he's like, it's a but when you have the Summer Olympics,
because they were tank tops, it should be a summer sport.
Yes, it's exactly what he was saying. Do you agree with that? Should basketball be considered a winter sport because it's indoors in the winter?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I hadn't thought of it that way, though.
I think the calendar's fine as it is.
I had never thought of basketball as a winter sport, despite it being played quite literally in the middle of winter.
Yeah, the coldest months of the year.
Yeah.
That's when all the games are.
I have left Ball Arena to like negative 10-degree wind chills before and watched a basketball game.
I mean,
where guys are wearing tank tops.
If part of his point is that it should be in the Winter Olympics, he's kind of right about that.
Yeah.
He's right about that.
But it's not a cold sport, so which is why it doesn't. And I think he ended up also saying
actually
too,
that
like,
is true. Yeah.
Like it's not like hockey where like hockey makes sense. It's played in winter, but it's also played on ice,
that is
which is a
actually-
winter element.
That is true. Yeah.
Did you get into the Winter Olympics this year? Are you a big Olympics guy or not too much? I know it's the middle of the season.
I
for you
mean,
guys.
I am, but I feel like the time difference sucked a lot of the life out of it.
Really? I actually felt like it was okay.
Really?
I mean, the gold medal hockey one kind of sucked because it was at 6 in the morning.
No, I mean, I saw the big stuff.
You saw the big stuff. You kept up with the
big
trend. You know, you watched when Canada, cheated on the curling ice and
I saw
those kind of trending
Saw
topics.
that.
I'm a big winter sport kind of guy. I love the.
What was your favorite moment from the Olympics?
I actually loved. Maybe this is a hot take. AJ and I were talking about it. I'm a big curling guy. It's the only time of year I'll watch curling, but it's cool. Electric when you actually get involved with it.
Do you actually know the rules of it though?
Not a single rule, dude.
That's the thing. They need to explain the scoring. Nobody has any idea how the scoring actually works.
AJ made a good point. He was like, the broadcasters broadcast as if you've been watching curling your entire life.
I know.
Like you can't like log in and watch curling as a novice. But the idea of it, like I get the gist. You're trying to knock the other
it's
team's
like
rocks out of the house, and
it's
like what are you
bocce.
trying? Yeah,
it's like bocce on ice.
Yes, 100%. But the Corey USA team at the beginning winning silver, but upsetting Team Italy, that was pretty electric. For me. So I was excited for that. I'm not a big summer Olympics guy. I mean, basketball is fun. No, I mean they took baseball out, and I was
summer Olympics guy.
No, I loved basketball. Basketball was fun. Track and field just doesn't get the juices flowing for me.
Wow.
I like.
It's no curling.
No, that's what I mean. That's a good point. I like winter sports because I feel like summer sports you can kind of turn on the TV and see a lot of summer sports to a varying extent in other capacities. Whereas winter sports, like I never watch a single. I can't find snowboarding, half pipe snowboarding or free ride skiing at any other point on TV. So that's more of my take.
That could be a point. Yeah.
All right.
I love the Summer Olympics, but do you know the reason why the NBA schedule is firmly entrenched as it is, though?
I don't.
Well, because if you go back to the pandemic and when the NBA season was put on hold and they went to Disney World to play,
the bubble,
and that season got so messed up, there was actually some thought about what if we just changed the calendar a little bit so the season started at Christmas and finished in August, per se. Maybe that makes a lot more sense. Christmas, kind of a nice kickoff to the season, just makes a little more sense with the calendar. Get some more warm weather at the end of the season. But the reason they didn't do it, and the reason they never will do it, is because the players don't want anything to go into their summer.
Yeah. I actually did. I actually did know that.
You will never get the players to sign off on that because they need their summer break.
I had heard someone say that to me like a month ago, and I remember laughing and thinking it was a joke. But then them being like, no, like this is actually true. The players want
summer break, man.
I feel that as again,
I actually feel it too. Yeah,
someone who covers baseball, like I've always said my dream job outside of DNVR would be to call games for the Rockies. But then you look at the like Jack Corrigan and Drew Goodman's schedule. And their summers haven't existed for decades. Like Drew Goodman hasn't had a summer vacation in his entire adult life.
Yeah, that's kind of
basically,
crazy.
And that's insane to me. When you have kids too.
Here's what I don't get about the baseball calendar, though. It's an outdoor sport, of course. Mostly, I'm pretty much an outdoor sport. Most teams. When you get into the playoffs, sometimes though, it's like 20 degrees.
Oh, it's miserable.
That doesn't make a lot of sense to me because 90% of the season is played when it's beautiful out.
Do you remember going to opening day last year for the Rockies?
Bro, I was at 2007 awful. Rockies Diamondbacks Game 4 when it was snowing.
Yeah, it's miserable.
Yeah,
and it's miserable at the beginning of the year. It is miserable at the end of the year, and then you get 100 degrees in the middle of summer. It's why people always advocate for a roof, but that's never going to happen at Coors
But I'm
Field.
just saying, if the baseball schedule was, if you started it in December. And then it ended in June.
Dude, if you started it in December, though, it would be you'd be playing in snow.
I guess
all year for like Philadelphia and Chicago.
That
and
is true.
Denver
that was a really bad
2026. What needs to happen is you got to shorten the season.
You got to cut the games.
Yes, you don't need 162 games. It's insane. It's too many games. Shorten the season. Make it from May to September, and have the playoffs be at the end of September.
That's a pretty short season.
It's a short season, but yeah, it would never happen. But I'm saying that would solve the weather problem.
I guess they probably have it.
It would solve the weather problem.
Have it. Yeah.
I don't know. Or just, make everyone have roofs and play indoors, whatever. All right, we'll finish up with Nugget stuff. We've got a game tonight against the Celtics. right? I'm remembering the
That's
schedule correct.
That's correct.
So Nuggets have some things to work on. I saw your guys' video you did on your show where you were talking about, how do you fix the clutch, pretty much. And, you were talking about the 2-man game for the Nuggets and how, of course, they rely on the 2-man game because the 2-man game works. But even if they get a healthy roster back, even if they get a healthy lineup back, they've got their starters back in the lineup. Do you still think adjustments need to be made no matter what? Do you still think there are flaws, injury or non-injury related, that the Nuggets need to figure out within the clutch?
Probably. I mean, I don't think you just put Aaron Gordon back on the court and all of a sudden they're an elite clutch team again. I think people kind of know what's coming right now with the Nuggets. They've been going to the same play pretty much in the clutch. I know I'm dumbing it down a lot, but they've been running the same play in the clutch for 5 years.
Yeah.
Murray and Jokic pick and roll, everybody else space the court.
Which is understandable because it's some of the best 2-player game in the NBA.
And it's worked pretty flawlessly for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
It helped get them a championship. It helped them win so many close games in the playoffs. I remember, they ran the same play against the Lakers. I think it was 5 times in a row in 2023. Maybe game 2 down the stretch. And they scored every time.
Yep.
They're running the same exact play. Just read and react stuff. 2 really smart, high IQ, experienced, tested basketball players just operating off field against a bad defense. But still. So it's worked. So there's really been no reason to go away from it. It just seems like now everybody knows what's coming. It's heavily scouted. And for whatever reason, Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic are just not executing the same in it. So I think they just need to build in some counters probably. They need to build in, some other go-to plays in the clutch. I still feel like, they can win a championship with it. Like if the Nuggets win a championship off a shot from that exact action, would I be surprised? No, they could still do that. But I think you need some counters now.
Yeah, I don't think you need to reinvent the wheel.
No.
But
no.
I do think you need to just make slight adjustments. Whenever something isn't working, you make adjustments. And then when your lineup gets healthy again, you make more adjustments and you just see what works. Again, I wouldn't say this is a trial and error period for the Nuggets because you still got to go out and win games. But again, what matters is the playoffs. And, I always say there are teams whose season starts in the playoffs. And with 2 of those teams here in Colorado with the Avs and the Nuggets, yeah, there's seeding. Yeah, there's, wanting to make sure you clean things up in the regular season so that you can enter into the playoffs with some momentum and in a decent spot. But no one was really debating whether or not the Nuggets were going to make the playoffs this year. It's just a matter of what version of the Nuggets show up in the playoffs. And that's when the season begins. And so, hey, try some new things. See if some new rotations work, see if some new adjustments work. And I'm not against them thinking outside the box. I don't think they need to reinvent the wheel, but I'm okay with them trying a few new things and just seeing if something sticks before playoffs get rolling.
Yeah. I memean, it's been a tough second half of the season. It's tough to remember now, but the first half of this season so far was awesome.
Yeah, 8-2 to start, right?
I mean, the Nuggets looked great for the first couple months of this season, even as a couple injuries started to pile up, but the last month or 2 has been a real slog. But I think the good news is, even though because of all of that and all that happened, they've still got a great shot. They're still in solid position. Things just have to happen quickly here.
Yeah, I know. Still got plenty of hope. Despite what our headline says, still got plenty of hope that the Nuggets can be a championship team. And I did see someone else in the chat say, if SGA goes down or if Wemby goes down with injury, the Nuggets have a chance to win the championship. I think the Nuggets have a chance to win the championship regardless of what happens. If the Nuggets can go into the playoffs healthy and they can fine-tune some of their cracks that you see on the floor, I think they'll be just as good as those teams. And then it just comes down to who's the better team in the moment. So I'm excited. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna change our vibe. I promise. Hopefully. Next time we do TDSP, unless something truly bad happens,
you promise?
I promise you. I have full faith. Okay. I'm manifesting that we will have a positive show and we'll have positive things to talk about with the Nuggets. If you guys haven't already, check out our Die Hard sale. Again, head to DNVR.com to check out and sign up and become a Die Hard for the cheapest you could ever possibly imagine becoming a diehard. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate you taking the time. You guys are going to be back on the show. What time starting today?
Oh man, I think the game's at 8.
So you'll be doing pregame
7:30.
7:30. Love
Yeah.
it. So be sure to check out the Nuggets pregame show popping off just around the 7:30 ish. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching right here on the Denver Sports Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.